This game was groundbreaking for its time, and is groundbreaking even now. In comparison to most racing games, none of them let you do what you could do in this game. You got to use different tools and weapons to shoot down other cars, shield yourself from damage, and even autopilot your hover car. This unique, devastating sci-fi game was intense, competitive, and ambitious for its time, competing even with racing games today, as they even today do not let you do these incredible things. When this game first came out, racing games weren't letting you do this, and racing games today still don't let you do this, making it stand the test of time. The gameplay loop is addictive, so fast-paced, so competitive, so intense, so creative, so brilliant on a fundamental level. Some of the best movement and racing mechanics ever put to a game, with some refined movement and mechanics, especially for a game on the PS1, proving that ambitious technology can come from unconventional places. The game is a smooth and refined experience with some unique gameplay features. It's literally an action ramp racing game where you blow other cars to smithereens in a sci-fi setting. Unbelievably ambitious for its time, with some amazing movement and gameplay. It's so intense and incredible, with action at every step. The moment you move and pick up a power-up, the game takes a huge turn for action. This is literally an action game, but it's in the racing genre. Who thought of this brilliant idea, taking action from what you'd see in an action game and applying it to cars in a sci-fi setting? I grew up with this game on PS1, and it changed my life, having some of the most groundbreaking gameplay for the PS1 era. This was so revolutionary for its time, and even compared to games today, which they do not have this level of innovation, the movement, the motion, so ahead of its time. The gameplay features, the action and combat mechanics, absolutely breathtaking. Some of the best action you will see in a game. And it's in a racing game, so refined, so beautiful, so well made, and intense. The races are intense, getting you into the experience with action and actual combat in the races, making it more competitive and dangerous when playing this level of immersion and intensity. This level of immersion and intensity is only found on Wipeout, aside from Blur years later. That was another revolutionary game. The racing is intense, with some extraordinarily refined mechanics from developer Psygnosis. They have created such refined movement, it's so smooth and feels like a real hover car. When you're moving, it's so intense. When you bump into cars and try crashing or destroying another with a weapon to power up, when you defend against other attacks with power-ups and shields, it's incredible. Turning a racing game into a game of action and combat, yet you're in a hover vehicle. So competitive, so intense, so innovative, so groundbreaking. The game was more than ahead of its time. It's a staple of gaming history. The racing mechanics are intense, having you to avoid damage and utilize movement and motion to win races, and attack other racers to gain the advantage, having power-ups of defense and attack to heighten the experience further, showing a level of innovation other racing games did not at the time, and still today rarely ever do. It's incredible, intense, innovative, immersive, very competitive, and hardcore, as this game is no slouch in the hardcore department. It is quite fast-paced and competitive, and it looks beautiful, with some beautiful animations way ahead of their time. This was a PS1 game, playing like a refined Xbox 360 or PS3 game. When Polygon's three-dimensional imagery had first started appearing on consoles, this game was so groundbreaking for its time. These are some refined and gorgeous mechanics and movement animations like this on the PS1, and it was a racing game. Having a racing game like this, with all the crazy stuff you could do, shooting, using shields, having power-ups, even autopilot. Holy cow, on the PS1! This was a gaming evolution. Look at all the features, attacks, defense, all the competitive nature and racing. It's so intense and engaging, immersing you into its world and experience. This engaging entry into Wipeout was so ahead of its time, was so ahead of the game, doing amazing feats of technological evolution competing with almost every racing game ever made, before or since. I have literally clocked in over 50 hours in this game, and that's not counting the countless hours I spent on this game years ago. Man, Psygnosis, you got me good with that. There's multiple game modes, and back in the day, games only had like 1 or 2 game modes. This has a decent amount. It has single race, time trial, challenge, and tournament. A single race mode is a game mode where you race in a sci-fi hover car on these amazing maps with great layouts. It's intense, competitive, and outstanding. You basically fire weapons and use shields against your opponent in an attempt to try and win by any means, crashing into cars, shooting and firing weapons, and even using shields and mines. This adds a whole new element to just racing. This is more than just racing. This is outstanding and revolutionary. Then there's time trial mode. When you race with an invisible duplicate of your car, at a certain span of time, you do good, you win the laps, and gain a new record for your time. Then there's challenge mode. It's split into 3 parts. First is race challenge, then time, and then weapons challenge. So the one I love the most, hands down, is the weapons challenge mode, out of all challenge modes. In this mode, it works like another mode, elimination, where it gauges how many vehicles you took down in a period of time. So it doesn't even care about just racing. Now, the competition is how much you can destroy in a period of time. It's goddamn awesome. It shows a crazy level of innovation and fun during the PS1 era. It had realistic hover physics, where the cars actually felt real and realistic movement on the PlayStation 1. Then it had a mode that skipped the racing, and said screw it, you can just destroy everything. Let's see how good you do. Man, this is awesome. Talk about video game innovation. Wipeout 3 was definitely something special, and still is. The next mode in challenge mode is time challenge. In time challenge, you race by yourself to see if you can beat your own record. There is no duplicate car, or what the game calls ghost car. It's just you, and you gauge your own time racing against your time, trying to beat your own record. The next one is race challenge. A race mode that also allows you to use weapons on the track, but it's mainly gauging your racing skills. How fast are you? How quick can you maneuver? In race mode, you'll find out quick. I might not be able to show it at the moment, but yes, I got gold and silver medals at these game modes. Next up is Eliminator. In this mode, you can choose just how many cars are on the track, and it gauges how many you were able to wipe out on the track in total, making it a competitive game of how many cars are destroyed in one sitting. Each time you destroy a car, you earn a point. The one with the most amount of points with you wins. You get to destroy vehicles in a sci-fi race track. I'm in, bro. That's awesome. The final game mode is Tournament, where it gauges how many points you earned and how fast you raced, and how many vehicles you destroyed simultaneously. This is what I gauge from the game mode myself. I'll admit, although my favorite is still single race and weapons challenge. The final game mode is Tournament, where it gauges how many points you earned and how fast you race, and how many vehicles you destroyed simultaneously. This is what I gauge from the game mode and myself. I'll admit, although my fave is still single race and weapons challenge. Fun fact, I originally played Wipeout because my father owned it on PS1. Played it for years. However, back then it just had the same cover you'd see in Wipeout 3, but it just said Wipeout. And it was the first in 2021. It was the first Wipeout. I saw my dad's game cover and it was suddenly Wipeout 3. I even looked Wipeout 3 up years ago and it was a different game. Memory's a funny thing. Just wanted to share that story. Wipeout 3 is so ahead of its time that it was a huge technological revolution. The game is beyond most racing games and previous Wipeout games, improving its tech so much on the PlayStation 1. This soundtrack is outstanding. It's so badass, intense, makes you get competitive, and matches the atmosphere and world that Wipeout conveys. Sci-fi futuristic jamming music with great beats, and the sounds are so cool. I believe they've created the soundtrack to help you get competitive on the track, since it matches the tone really well. However, it's also just a great soundtrack altogether, sounding like something you'd hear in a full-budget Hollywood blockbuster. That's the level of quality they put into the game's music. It's that good. There are multiple hover vehicles to choose from that all have their own unique physics and feel. If you think they're all the same, you are sadly mistaken. These vehicles' physics are so integral to the gameplay that if you use another car, that difference in physics and how you handle the difference can determine whether you win or lose in the race. You wielding that car and that slight difference can have all the impact. The differences of vehicles and cars really changes the outcome of the race depending on how you handle this difference. It's amazing. Every car feels unique. Every car feels distinct and separate from each other. They're all unique. My personal favorite one being this one. And yes, there's even more vehicles and you can earn more cars in the game. This game is so fluid and gorgeous with some of the best physics and mechanics for racing. And it competes even with modern games physics on the PS1, having a unique gameplay loop unseen in other racing games. Competitive races. So groundbreaking for its time. It has something in its gameplay that heightens the experience. Weapons, shields. Man, this game was so incredible, so innovative, so competitive, so smooth, so accessible, easy to pick up and experience. Man, this game was ahead of its time. Damn, this game is so amazing, so innovative and brilliant. Its gameplay loop was so incredible and addictive. This game was so amazing. It worked extremely well. So, how do you feel about Wipeout 3? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. This was Tarragon, and I am now out this piece. Thank you for watching.